Welcome to Variations 4. In this video, it's the hematology unit here. In this video, we'll cover questions 9, 10, and 11, main focus being thrombocytopenia. Before we do question 9, we'll just kind of get question 10 out of the way because it's something we already discussed, and that is this. Why might a patient have a splenectomy, and what are the long-term risks? So we've talked about this a couple times, and the answer is laid out here again quite clearly. Spleen becomes enlarged and overactive, starts to remove healthy cells too. This is not a good thing, contributes to various types of either anemia or thrombocytopenia. So it could be a decrease in red blood cells, anemia, it could be a decrease in platelets, thrombocytopenia, could end up with neutropenia, decrease in white blood cells. It also affects the immune response in general. So in a case like that can't be resolved, you might need to remove the spleen. But the risk of doing that is that serious infections, that risk increases. Okay, so let's go specifically now and talk about question 9 and 11. 9's asking us to go through immune-related thrombocytopenia, and then 11 asks us to look at a kind of a head-to-toe diagram based on the same topic. So I find that 9's actually written out here much more clearly than anything else because we want to keep this section simple. Number 9's really talking about immune system-mediated thrombocytopenia. So it's some kind of immune system response that is causing our platelets to drop. And we're going to look at a few different types of immune-related thrombocytopenia. But the one theme that ties all these 3 different kinds of thrombocytopenia together in question 9 is that it's an immune response triggered by different things, but at the end of the day, it's an immune response. So let's just kind of see what's written here then. So we just kind of went through bullet point number 1. Of course, bullet point number 2 is intuitive. If you lower platelets, then of course you put the patient at risk of bleeding. Bullet point number 3. So maybe you have to get rid of antibodies that are causing the immune response. Maybe that is relevant. Maybe you have to give IVIG, which are pooled antibodies that will offset the immune response, reset the immune response so it's not attacking, it's attacking the host. Maybe you have to give medications that just suppress the immune response in general. So hopefully that this bullet point we're on now is giving you some general themes to think about when you have immune-mediated thrombocytopenia. So platelet transfusions, even though thrombocytopenia, platelets are low, but very often it's not recommended to give more platelets because it will just exacerbate the immune's response. If there was a non-immune mediated thrombocytopenia, like say something from chemotherapy causes a decrease in all cells, including platelets, well, maybe the patient could get platelets then, but that's not the type of thrombocytopenia we're talking about in this question. So now let's just kind of look at the concept maps. We've got a really good background here to look at the concept maps. We're going to look at 3 immune-mediated thrombocytopenias. So first of all is the immune thrombocytopenia, penic purpura. Bottom line, it's something with the immune system is recognizing these platelets as foreign. And so the platelets are destroyed. And the circle here we've already covered in the written part of question 9. Thrombotic thrombocytopenia, the second one. In this case, again, it's an autoimmune disease, but not only is it causing decrease, like this one, it's also causing platelets to clump up and create emboli. So it is paradoxical because at the same time as you have decreased platelets and bleeding risk, you also have these thrombi forming that are causing blockages in vessels. So here's a case where you definitely want to avoid a platelet transfusion. You're just going to increase your thrombotic events. You will need to use the interventions that suppress the immune system in this case. Finally, heparin-induced thrombocytopenia, HITS is what you'll usually see it charted as in the chart. So the heparin itself is causing an immune response that's causing the body to attack platelets. How do you deal with this? It also causes clumping. So you have the same dual problem as above, increased bleeding risk and increased clotting. Very difficult to treat because you're giving the heparin in the first place to decrease clot formation. But by giving it, you're causing clots and you're causing bleeding risk because of the decreased platelets. So it's very confusing to treat this one. You might need to give something to reverse the effects of the heparin, and that will slow all this down, these problems. But then you have to still deal with the initial issue of why you want to give the heparin in the first place. You won't want to give a platelet transfusion because you don't want to increase clotting. They should never get heparin again. You'll probably want to start them on some alternative anticoagulant like a thrombin inhibitor such as dabigatran. There might be newer ones at the time this video is being made. You might need to clear out the antibodies, as we talked about above. And you might need thrombolytics in the last couple of cases to clear out the clots. Again, this might help. So the head to toe, with all that being said, the head to toe for thrombocytopenia, if we go through symptoms here, thinking that now we're looking at all of them together. Like if you take all the types of thrombocytopenia and throw them in one pile, what are some of the symptoms we could see with all of the three thrombocytopenias above, immune-related thrombocytopenias? The symptoms start to make perfect sense. Why PE? Because you've got clotting risks with a couple of those ones above. So that should all make perfect sense. This is just, you can get this part from the summary that we printed out under question 9.